Well, hello there. I'm Photo Dave and this is Toypixx. Now, this channel is all about helping you and me get better at our action figure photography. So that entails all kinds of things such as, well, action figure talk, photo equipment, tips, tricks, tutorials, Photoshop, all that good stuff. And from time to time, I'll also talk about what's going on in the toy industry, what's all the hot topics and craziness like that. And just like today, I might even talk about my own collecting habits. So, if any of that sounds cool to you, if all of that sounds cool to you, if even just one little bit of that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit subscribe and we'll get to it. Now, cue the intro. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I collect the way I do. But before I get into that, I figure you need a little bit of background, a little bit of context, a little bit of nuance, because I'm not really one for the hot take. So here we go. For years, I collected Marvel Legends. I was a big fan of the brand. I took a whole lot of pictures. If you want to look back on the Instagram account, the Twitter account, the Facebook account, you'll find all kinds of Marvel Legends pictures. Big fan. After a while, though, I kind of got sick of buying the same bodies with different sculpts, different head sculpts and different paint jobs, nothing really new, it felt like. Once in a while, you'd get some characters that were fairly new, but overall, when I looked at my shelves, it looked like the same body, the same butt, the same figure, just with a new, fresh coat of paint on it. And then, while other collections were coming out with all kinds of crunches and ball hips, ball waist, and all that, I saw, wow, you can get way more natural poses with these things. And Marvel Legends, they've still got that waist cut. And man, I am going to make a t-shirt that says M the waist cut. I'm pretty sure that's a big deal. But that's kind of what got me out of Marvel Legends. That, and after a while, you start to kind of notice some Hasbro's business practices, and you're not so sure about it. And that's probably the hottest take I've got for this. It's no big deal. It's things that I kind of see that I just don't agree with. Doesn't mean you can't agree with them. I will never judge anybody for having their own views on any of their stuff and what they collect. I mean, hey, you do you. That's the most important part of all this. Otherwise, you're not going to have any fun. So, there's your context. Now, let's get into first the minuses of the way I collect. So the first minus, and this would be a big deal for a lot of you, and at first it was kind of a big deal for me when I was deciding whether or not to get rid of my Marvel Legends. I'm never going to have a complete team. I mean, right now I'm collecting Mafex. I've got some Mezcos on pre-order. I might end up with the Jim Lee X-Men if Mafex decides to go with a larger character, kind of like Beast, But that's probably about it. I will end up with a whole Fantastic Four when Mezco releases that set. But overall, I'll never have all the Avengers. I'll never have all the looks of the X-Men from, the 60s all the way through now. Never have the looks of the Avengers from the 60s all the way through now. You know how that goes. So there is that minus. And of course, I'll never have, I'll have very few B-listers, but I'll never have anything below that because these companies, they make a lot of money because they have to sell figures that are really recognizable. Otherwise, why would they risk selling anything below B-list? Those probably wouldn't make them money. So that's one of the reasons I'll never have a complete team. But I can do it. I can get over that. I'm cool with that. If you're not cool with that, I totally understand. I had pretty much all the Jim Lee X-Men with Legends. Except for Banshee. Yeah. Stinking Banshee. For the second minus, as alluded to in the first, I'm going to be spending a whole lot more money per figure. Yeah. Holy crud. These things are about $100. Now, you can sometimes do a little better if you shop overseas and all that, but for all intents and purposes, you're probably, with shipping, going to spend between $90 and $100. Whew! And Mezco, that's a US company, but you're still paying a lot for all the cloth goods and the figures and all the different accessories they come with. Yeah, it's a lot of money to do this stuff. Now, the one area where it's not a lot of money, and one area, two areas where you can hit me with the old hypocrite tag, is I still go for G.I. Joe Classified. I feel like Hasbro's treating that brand very well, and I hope they continue to do so because I'm digging it. And I still get Black Series Stormtroopers because I'm going to have some SHF and some Mafex Star Wars figures, and it would cost a lot of money to army build stormtroopers that way. In fact, that's one of my rules. No $100 army builders. That's a bad idea. But yeah, that's another minus. These things are a whole lot more money. And minus number 3, I'm never gonna have a big collection. It's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit there and spend $100 for like 100 or 200 figures in a year and just load up a massive amount of stuff, because when I kind of hate clutter, and that was something else that was going on with Legends. I started to feel like, man, I can't display all this. There's a lot of clutter going on. I'm just not that guy that's going to have tons. Now, I'll have a lot more than I do. Currently, I have 48. When I sell the Viper that I talked about in the last video, I'll have 47. And things are going to hopefully start showing up this year. I know pre-orders keep getting pushed back, but my collection will get a little larger this year. I'll be pretty geeked about that. But in either event, it is definitely going to be a much smaller collection than it would have been had I continued with a $25 Marvel Legends line, had I kept going with Black Series and all these other cheaper lines, frankly. Except again, G.I. Joe Classified. They're doing that right. I wish Hasbro could dedicate the budget that they're dedicating to Classified to all their other brands. Here's a separate idea for a video, something I think Hasbro should consider. In their 10-year plan, they should try and build up their own brand so much that they don't need other brands. That way, they wouldn't have to worry about making stuff with licensing fees because, hey, everything they make is in-house. I think that's a quality 10-year plan, but I'm not really in Hasbro, so who knows if they listen. Anyway, on to the pluses. And now, for the pluses. And plus number 1, every figure in a collection like this, where you're getting the pricier stuff, the more complete stuff and all that, could be a museum piece. Okay, maybe not the Louvre is taking these things, but to me, you look at them all and you're like, wow, that's a really sweet figure. He looks totally different than all the others. There's something about him that's really cool. And that's all the figures across the board. Ooh, she looks awesome. Holy, whoa, Catwoman. Rad. You gotta love that black costume, man. The way the light hits. Anyway, I went into photo nerd and generic nerd there for a minute. But that's what I'm excited about, is every piece. I'm excited to take a photo of it. I'm excited to have it on the shelf. So when I look up, I'm like, yeah, that thing's pretty rad. So that's one of the ways that I collect. One of the pluses where I look at things and I'm just like, okay, I made a pretty good call with the way I'm doing things now. Yeah. The second plus I've got on the list, great articulation for toy photography. Folks, I don't know if you're aware from the intros I've been doing recently and several of the videos I've done, I'm big into this whole action figure photography thing. And when a figure doesn't bend very well, doesn't move very well, it doesn't really lend itself as well to photos. Now, there are a lot of lines that come close. Legends, in particular, comes really close to being able to hit a lot of these poses. But just having a few degrees more on a figure like a Mafex, or maybe an SH Figure Arts. I say maybe because I don't have one of those yet. Can't wait to get them. This could be fun. But that's the whole thing, is having just that little tiny bit of articulation that gets him just to crouch a little deeper, swing a little higher, whatever the case is. That really gets me hyped up for the whole toy photography game. Not to mention, most of these figures, they come with a lot of extra parts, so you can get a lot more expression with their heads, with their hands, all that good stuff. That gets me really hyped up for the old pluses and, well, toy photography. So now we're going to get to the third plus before I get all tongue-tied and stuff. And the third plus, which is kind of a cheat because it was also my third minus, is it's a much smaller collection. Like I said before, I'm not a big fan of clutter. I just don't like it. I don't like having too many things so that I can't put it all out on display. It kind of drives me nuts. So having a much smaller collection for me is a huge plus. I even look at my G.I. Joe stuff from time to time, and I don't even have tons of them. I've gotten a lot of those that I ended up selling because they just didn't quite fit. Red Ninjas or Gung Ho's, anyone? Maybe a couple Roadblocks. Anyway, digression, but yeah, I even got rid of some of those because I'm like, man, this is too much. I got to slow down on this. Yeah, maybe I need help in a different way than a lot of collectors do because I'm constantly looking at my stuff, thinking to myself, could this collection be smaller? Oi. Yeah, I definitely need help, but that is a plus as far as I'm concerned, is having a much smaller collection. So that's it, everybody. That's how I collect. Some pluses, some minuses in there, just because I have to be honest with myself about things like, man, I'm never going to have a full X-Men team, or, I'm also going to have stuff that looks like it's always a cool little museum piece. So there's trade-offs to the way you're going to do anything. That's just what I've done. Those are the trade-offs I've made. Again, no judgment if you went another way. In fact, in the comments, let me know, do you collect more like I do? Do you collect where you have just this massive wall of legends, which I don't want to admonish. I've seen those massive walls of legends. I had that massive wall of legends. It can look very cool, especially if you have characters you're really fired up about and excited about. So just let me know in the comments. Let me know how you collect, how you do it, how you good. I'm not tongue-tied, honestly. And there you go. So go ahead and click subscribe, click a like, share the video, do all the things. And hey, folks, we're talking action figures here, so have fun and happy snapping. See ya.